You have the power to make magic every single day, no matter how mundane your life is. Hey there, everyone. I wanted to quickly pop on and record a quarterly alignment practice. So this is going to be a journal practice that you can use whenever you are starting a fresh season of your life. And since it is a new quarter, since we are heading into quarter 2, believe it or not, I figured now was a really good time to give you these exercises. And so if you know me, you know that I love journaling. I journal every single day. I actually do multiple journal practices every single day. It is a huge part of my life. And whenever I tell people who are not, avid journalers that I journal so much, they're kind of like, well, what are you even doing? Like, once you write about what happened that day, like, what more do you need to say? And the magic of journaling is that there are infinite questions you can ask yourself. And I really do find that the quality of your life does depend on the quality of the questions you ask yourself. Not entirely sure exactly who said that. I think it was Tony Robbins, or I might have heard it from Tony Robbins back in the day. But I have been saying this since the very, very beginning of my business. When you ask yourself good questions, you get better results and your life is just more aligned. And so from that place, let's go ahead and ask ourselves some really juicy questions that are going to get us in alignment with our ideal vision, not just for this season, but also for our life. I like to always tell people that if you want to have an incredible life, you have to know how to chunk that down, and really to get as granular as knowing how to have an incredible day, knowing how to enjoy your morning, knowing how to enjoy your evening. And that's why in Moody and Magnetic, I actually take them through a very, very thorough ideal day exercise, because I want people to really understand that if you can love each segment of your day, you can love your entire life. It's not about, peaks and valleys and like these big, big mountaintop moments, and that's what makes up an incredible life. It really is in the details. It's in the minutia. And so when we do these quarterly alignment practices, when we take a moment to reset for a new season, what we're reminding ourselves is that we get to love our lives no matter what we have going on this quarter. Like, you might be looking out at your quarter and maybe you actually do have some big milestone moments. Maybe you're getting married this quarter. Maybe you are graduating. I don't know. Maybe you have something really big going on. But maybe, like me, you're looking at your quarter and, I have my retreat coming up in June, and that is definitely a really, really big thing that I'm so excited about. But in April, in May, it's not like I have like big event after big event. And so I have to create my own excitement and create my own sense of fulfillment and joy in all seasons of my life. And that's really the essence of why I wanted to come on here and share this practice with you, because as we step into April, I want you to step into it knowing that you have the power to create an incredible spring quarter, to create an incredible season. Depending on where you are in the world, this might be your fall quarter, so don't worry about that. But you have the power to make magic every single day, no matter how mundane your life is. And that is what we're going to be digging into in this practice. So you might be listening to this or watching this, and you might have a journal nearby, and you might have some time, and you can totally pause this and journal on each question as I present it to you. But I'm assuming that most people are going to be listening to this on the go. Maybe you'll be washing dishes, or maybe you're sitting in your bed just consuming content and you are not in the mood to like do a whole journal practice. That's okay. I'm going to give you the questions now. If you can take a moment to just jot them down in your notes app or something quick and easy, you can go back and take yourself through a longer, more thorough journal practice where you set aside like 30 minutes or something to really like dig into each question. But I want to make sure that I give you the questions now so that as soon as it turns April 1st, you are able to run with them and use them in whatever way works best for you. And so question 1, I want you to zoom out and really ask yourself, what is your ideal vision for the next 3 to 5 years? And again, this goes back to knowing that in order to have a beautiful life, you need to focus on those smaller chunks of time, but we want to make sure that we're spending these seasons intentionally. And so if you know that it's important for you 5 years from now to buy a home, then we want to be aware of that as we're planning and as we're preparing and getting aligned for this next season. So think about the future version of you out, off in the distance. 3 to 5 years is not that long, but it's long enough. So just sit and just get curious with yourself. Like, what would it be cool to do? What would it be cool to have? And I'll also mention here, I go much deeper into this in my spring cleaning for the soul workshop. That's like a very deep spiritual reset. There's breath work and there's meditation and manifestation exercises and all kinds of beautiful things in there. And we also look at this life visioning piece because I just think it's so important. And so if you want deeper support with this, I'm going to leave that in the description if you're watching on YouTube or if you're listening to the podcast, and I'm going to have the link available so anyone from Instagram can just DM me and I can send you the link on Instagram, no problem. But question 1 is, what would it be cool to have? What would it be cool to create? What would it be cool to accomplish? What would it be cool to experience? Just what do you want your vision of your life to look like in the next 3 to 5 years? Getting clear on that. And then once you have journaled through that, I want you to look at, from that vantage point, from that bigger, more long-term, quote-unquote, vision, what do you need to focus on in the next 12 months? So right now, as I'm recording this, it's March 31st, 2025. I was like, what year is it? March 31st, 2025. And so if I was doing this, I would look at, what do I need to focus on from now until March 31st of 2026? So looking at the next 12 months. And this is important because we're not looking at it till the end of the year. We're looking at like a whole 12-month cycle, no matter where in the year you're listening to this. So if you're listening to this in August, think 12 months. Don't think end of the year. And that's a key in general, because I know that a lot of the times in the personal development space, people are always like, what do you want to accomplish by the end of the year? What do you want to create by the end of the year? What do you want to experience this year? But this isn't so much about the calendar. This is about your personal timeline for your life. And you can start a new chapter and a new season whenever. So we're going to let go of that, mentality of focusing too much on the calendar. And we're going to just look out over the next 12 months of our personal experience. So given what you see for yourself in the next 3 to 5 years, what do you need to focus on for these next 12 months? And just see what comes up and let it be intuitive. And we really want to think about this from the perspective of I teach a ladder exercise. So a ladder is just really a step by step process, right? So if you are here on the ground and your vision is up here, quote unquote above you, and let's just use this for the sake of a ladder purpose, then what is step 1 on the ladder? What is step 2 on the ladder? And you're just asking yourself, okay, what if one of my visions for the next 5 years is to have 1 million subscribers on my YouTube channel. Okay, what needs to happen before that? Well, before that, I probably need to have hit 300,000, right? Let's just say, okay, before that, 100,000. Okay, before that, 10,000. I'm just coming up with stuff off the cuff, but take your goal and reverse engineer it so that you can figure out, okay, what needs to happen in the next 12 months so that I can move myself towards my vision for the next 5 years. So just thinking that through, letting it be easy and very intuitive. This isn't about getting it wrong or right. You can take a couple of deep breaths and just journal out your stream of consciousness for a few minutes and just see what ideas you have, see what comes up for you. Again, this doesn't need to be something that feels like pressure. It's just something like a fun self-inquiry, like getting to know yourself, mining your own wisdom. Think of it from that perspective of I'm laying back, I'm dreaming, I'm being expansive, and I am just digging into my own inner world. So once you figure that out, I think you can tell where we're going with this, but just in case, then you need to look at where you want to go in the next 3 months. What do you need to focus on in the next 3 months? And this can be in terms of a goal that you want to achieve. This can also be, and I would really encourage you to think about this in terms of habits that you need to pick up and habits that you need to let go of. So for me, one of my fitness goals that you may have heard me talk about here on the internet is middle splits. I've been working on this since the end of 2023, and I am continuing to work on it. It's definitely a long-term goal. And so because I'm working on middle splits, if I were to ask myself, okay, what habit do I need to pick up in the next 3 months? If I wasn't already stretching every day, I would need to pick up that habit of I'm stretching every day. And then sitting is something that actually decreases your flexibility. So I would also be, in terms of what habit do I need to let go of, I need to stop sitting so much. I need to get out of that habit of sitting so much. And actually one of the things I need to do is get a walking pad and like a way to either have a standing desk or like an extension for my laptop or something, so that I'm not sitting like all day. But anyway, these are just examples to help you think about like, okay, in the next 3 months, what are some habits that you need to pick up, and what are some habits that you need to let go of that are going to help you get aligned with your ideal vision for your life and where you want your life to go. And then again, you can also include here any tangible specific goals that you want to achieve. If there are milestones that you have, if there's progress that you want to be able to measure, then you put those down under this category as well. So journal on that. I'm going to actually have a little bit of water before we head to our next prompt. Okay, we have 6 prompts total. So prompt number 4, and I have my notes, so I'm just taking a peek over here. As you sit with all of this, because we've just done a lot of visioning, and for a lot of people, visioning also brings up anxiety. And this even happens to me, and I've been visioning and being very intentional about like designing my life and having like goals and all of that for a decade, right? And this is still something that can bring up anxiety within me depending on what it is that comes up, you know? So notice what feelings arise as you sit with this vision that you've just created. And you can go ahead in your journal and just write out like, as I sit with this, I'm feeling XYZ. And just notice what feelings come up. See how many feelings words you can name. If there are any like questions or memories, like whatever comes up is perfect. But just get it out on paper, because you need to look at that. And if you don't look at that, honestly, that is going to be what stops you from actually achieving the goal. A lot of the times we have these feelings beneath the surface, and we try to overcompensate for our feelings by taking a bunch of action. But if you are taking a bunch of action and also you have all of this fear and intimidation and stress and pressure within you, then it will be unsustainable, and you'll probably burn out and just not keep up with it, because you can only drive yourself on adrenaline for so long. You need to actually be aligned. And so that's why we're doing a quarterly alignment practice. So take a moment and just get clear for yourself. What are the feelings that come up as I sit with this vision? And there might also be positive feelings too, excitement, joy, curiosity, like whatever comes up is perfect, but go ahead and just get clear for yourself, like, what am I feeling as I look at this? And then from there in your journal, I want you to actually just get quiet and take a moment for yourself. And this is going to look different depending on your personal spirituality. And so use whatever language is authentic to you. But the place I want you to get to is, what if you knew that the divine was supporting you every step of the way? So this might be, what if you knew that the universe was supporting you? What if you knew that your specific spirits were supporting you? What if you knew that God was supporting you every step of the way? Plug in whatever words, names make the most sense here. But what if you knew that you would be spiritually supported every single step of the way? And just reflect on that. Just journal through it, contemplate, see what comes up as you sit with that idea. And then in closing, for our final journal prompt, I want you to ask yourself, what are some small things that you can do, even starting this week, to move yourself forward in alignment with your vision? And so we already looked at habits and like the bigger things that might need to change in your behavior. But when we look at the small little things, those are the things that add up to habits. And so one thing that I have actually been very intentional about is having a healthy relationship with food. And when I am really focusing on my relationship with food, I like to take it one meal at a time. And taking it one meal at a time is really essential because then I don't get overwhelmed. And so what are small things you can do? Think about this on like the day-to-day basis. What's a small thing you can do today? What's a small thing you can do this week? What's a choice that you can make and implement in the short term that is just going to be a little declaration, a little step in the right direction of where you're going? And whatever comes up is perfect. You don't even need to spend a lot of time on this question. It can just be whatever comes to mind. And then, of course, once you have identified this, then your homework is to go do that thing, to make that small shift. And then the way that you keep the momentum going throughout the quarter is that you're consistently revisiting the habits that you want to form and the habits that you want to let go of. And you are consistently making small aligned choices along the way. And then as feelings come up, make sure that you look at them, make sure that you are aware of them, and then address those feelings. So if you notice fear coming up, is there something you can do to actually address the fear that you have? And again, healing and doing the like emotional inner work, like that in and of itself could be another podcast episode and could actually be a course, and I have a course on that. And so that's not the purpose of this particular piece of content. But when you're looking at your feelings, you're looking at them with the intention to process them. You're looking at them with the intention to heal. You're looking at them with the intention to move through them. So you should never feel like your feelings are keeping you stuck or like your feelings are going to prevent you from moving forward. It's when you ignore and repress and don't actually address the feelings, that's when the feelings can hold you back. But when you look at them, when you're honest with yourself, you're building up that emotional intimacy with yourself, which also builds up self-trust, which also will move you forward in all the directions that you want to go. Because as long as you're building up your self-trust, you're telling yourself you're a reliable person, you're telling yourself you care about yourself, right? You care enough to have these hard conversations with yourself when those conversations need to be had. That's honestly what it takes to be able to make any kind of lasting and sustainable change in your life, is you need to know that you're going to be there for yourself. And then on the flip side, you also need to know that you're going to be spiritually supported and that the divine is going to be there for you and that you're not doing this alone, right? It's not all up to you. And so if there are things coming up where you're like, I actually don't know how to solve that problem, or I actually don't know how to overcome this, you can bring that to the divine specifically and ask for a resolution, ask for help, and the divine will actually be there with you to kind of guide you through and show you the things that you haven't already looked at, and just be that support system for you, connect you with the right people, connect you with the people that can help you, and so on and so forth. So this has been a quick but very potent, very powerful quarterly alignment exercise. I want you all to make time to do this, hopefully this week as we are stepping into the new quarter. And then you can revisit this exercise as often as you feel like you need to when you want to get back in alignment with where your life is going and with what matters most to you, and just continue living in the direction of the thing that you want most and of the life that you really, really see for yourself. I love you so much. I have 2 resources that could help you go deeper with this. The first is the Spring Cleaning for the Soul workshop, which I've already mentioned. That is like the deeper spiritual alignment. That's where I introduce the practices that actually do help me process and heal and clear the feelings piece, and also just going deeper into like manifestation and more of the spiritual principles behind creating the life that you want. So if you're wanting support with that, Spring Cleaning for the Soul is a great resource for you. And then I also have a workshop on quarterly planning for spiritual entrepreneurs. And that is a mix of looking at what's going on internally within you and also looking at what's going on within your business. We look at your marketing, we look at your sales, we look at your products and your offerings, and we do more of a deep dive into like what's going on in your business, what are your goals, and then what needs to be realigned so that your business is in line with your goals. And so if you are a spiritual business owner, I would highly recommend that quarterly planning workshop. I initially recorded it for my Conscious Cash Creation Mastermind, but I am making it publicly available for anyone who wants that support. And then everyone, whether you have a spiritual business or not, or whether that is your focus or not, I would definitely recommend getting into Spring Cleaning for the Soul if you're wanting to do that deeper, more spiritual inner work piece and getting yourself in alignment for the next season. Okay, with all of that being said, I love you so much. I want the very, very best for you this quarter, and know that I am here for you, cheering you on along the way as you create the life that you feel called to live. I'll see you again very soon.